Throughout the pandemic, we've seen more and more politicians attempt to use social media as a way to inform and mobilize citizens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the role of social media in politics cannot be ignored. For more on this, I'm joined by Alec Couros. He's a professor of information and communication technologies at the University of Regina. Alec, with social media acting as a direct line back and forth from politicians to constituents, is there a way to engage people without attracting vitriol?
Well, the short answer is no, you can't entirely eliminate it. And I think depending on who you are, you'll receive differing amounts of vitriol online. For instance, I know that when I post something online, I can see that someone similar post or see something similarly posted by a woman or a person of color, and they are met with an entirely different level of vitriol. And I think that's a really important piece because social media, the experiences that we have are going to be very, very different from person to person. And of course, depending on the topics that you speak about, whether it's health related or vaccinations or wearing of masks, these particular topics end up being targets for others. And so you will see quite a mess if you attend to any of these topics, because there are people certainly tuned in to come after you if you have an opinion on these particular questions.
What's happened in the United States with Donald Trump is kind of in social media is kind of an apple and oranges comparison when it comes to Canadian politics online. But is there a best practice for politicians, whether they are in government or in opposition, when it comes to sharing information or criticism on social media?
I think, going back to the early days of social media, the whole idea of trying to dialogue instead of broadcasting, this is not a broadcast medium. And I think you should certainly use social media to provide direct policy related information. I think that's really important. That's something that we haven't seen from politicians for a while. But what we're not seeing a lot is the ability to interact, ask questions, to attend to reasonable critique, and more importantly, some of the humanity and humility. And we've seen people like Mayor Nenshi in Calgary who have been very great, quite great at doing that sort of thing and built their careers with a social media profile like that. And I think, another big piece of this is this idea of muting versus blocking. If you are a politician and you end up blocking one of your constituents or someone you represent, you're going to be called out for it very quickly.
Speaking of the block and mute button, they are getting quite a workout these days. What advice do you have for quote unquote regular people who are using social media but find the tone difficult to stomach?
Well, I think the old internet adage, "Don't feed the trolls," is something that's probably as important now, if ever. I think if you get a response on social media, take a look at their timeline, take a look to see if they're using a real name, for instance, or if it's just some sort of pseudonym. Those particular those accounts aren't typically worth your time. It's probably best to just move ahead and go on to something else, do something better with your time, walk away. And I think something to know about these accounts is often they are using your social clout to try to get amplified. So if you engage in an account that maybe has only a few followers, they're probably depending on you to get into the conversation to attract more followers and then even be kind of worse out there in terms of worsening the dialogue overall. So I think it's really important just to sometimes just walk away and don't amplify accounts that certainly don't deserve it.
Alec, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you.